Before we embark on this spiritual journey, I would like to invite everyone to temporarily set aside their worries, concerns, and distractions. Let's start with a very simple yet powerful action. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Imagine each breath as a stream of brilliant golden light. When you inhale, that stream of light spreads, infiltrating every cell, every nook and cranny in your body, illuminating every dark corner. And when you exhale, imagine all the tension, all the worries dissipating, making way for peace and tranquility. Continue to maintain slow and steady breathing. Let your thoughts fade away, and allow your mind to be filled with a state of tranquility and peace. At this moment, you are connecting with the sacred source of energy, not through words, but through your very heart and soul. You can imagine a brilliant golden sphere of light slowly spreading around you, protecting you, enveloping you in a peaceful space. Nothing can disturb or shake you at this moment. Only you and the radiant peace. We are not in a hurry. We do not pressure ourselves to achieve anything. We do not try to find answers immediately. The spiritual journey is not a race. This is the time for you to slow down, to connect with yourself, to feel the presence of a great and sacred source of strength, always ready to support and accompany you. On the path we are about to embark on, there is an important concept called manifest, an action of creating what one desires. But manifesting is not just about achieving personal goals and desires. It is a deeper journey, a journey of discovering the divine power within each person and realizing that we all have the ability to become instruments of love and divine creativity. In this moment, I invite everyone to reflect. What do you desire most from this life? Is it success, wealth, or simple yet meaningful joys? Ask yourself, do those desires stem from ambition, from the ego, or are they a yearning to live in accordance with the true essence of the sacred love within? Everything we create in life originates from our thoughts, but when those thoughts are connected with the power of love, they become an endless source of strength. Open your heart to embrace a new thought that you don't need to struggle to chase what you desire. Instead, you can completely become a part of the vast love of a creative power that the universe is always ready to share. Remember that each person's spiritual journey is not just about accumulating for oneself, but about becoming a part of something greater, something more noble. Our souls can become a bright lamp, spreading love, wisdom, and gratitude to everyone around us. When we embark on this journey, we are no longer alone, no longer worried, because we have found our true purpose, to be conveyors of greatness, to live a meaningful life, not just to meet short-term needs. It is a journey where each person becomes themselves, while still blending into the invisible power of love and creativity. Thinking is an incredibly powerful force, but not everyone is fully aware of its impact. Imagine that all our thoughts, all our feelings and beliefs in our minds are like seeds sown in the invisible soil of the universe. Those seeds grow, develop, and then manifest in our lives in various forms. This is the power of thought, a creation full of mystery, yet incredibly real. Many famous authors and thinkers have mentioned this power. In creative visualization, Shakti Gawain shares that by specifically visualizing and clearly feeling what we desire, we can turn it into reality. Shakti encourages not only visualization, but also focusing positive energy and emotions on mental images, making them more vivid and relatable. Similarly, in The Nature of Personal Reality, Jane Roberts emphasized the importance of thought as a form of energy that we can harness to create the reality we desire. And The Secret by Rhonda Byrne continues to remind us of the power of the law of attraction, that when we focus on something, we will attract it into our lives. All these viewpoints revolve around a core truth. Our thoughts create our reality. Look back at the situations that have occurred in your life. Do most of them reflect what you have thought, worried about, or expected? For example, when we constantly think about failures and fears, we easily attract similar events to ourselves. On the contrary, when we maintain a positive and optimistic belief, good experiences come more frequently. Thinking is not just a stream of fleeting thoughts, but a force of energy shaping each person's life. There is a truth that not every thought immediately manifests in reality, because thinking truly has power when it is accompanied by strong emotions. When we yearn for something, feeling it deeply, it's as if we send a clear signal to the universe, and that very signal creates changes over time. This does not mean that we can control everything just by thinking, but rather that we have a clear understanding of the connection between what we believe and what happens. Eastern philosophy has long regarded thought as an important factor in the journey towards enlightenment. It's no coincidence that people liken wisdom to a lamp, illuminating every step. When we understand the connection between thought and reality, we can view our lives more deeply and cautiously. Every experience is not just a random event, but the result of beliefs and thoughts that have long been sown in our minds. And from there, when each person begins to control their thinking, we can gradually control the reflection of that thinking in the outside world. The power of thought is not something vague. It is reinforced by natural laws. The law of cause and effect, which is a core Eastern philosophy, also proves this. Every thought we send out is a seed, and from that seed will grow the fruit. That is what we will receive in return. Positive thinking, benevolence, brings positive responses from the universe. On the contrary, when negative thoughts and worries dominate, we easily get caught up in a spiral of difficulties and stress. Realizing this is a significant step in the spiritual journey, because when we understand that our own thinking is creating our life, we will begin to appreciate and control what we think. No longer are there aimless thoughts, no longer unnecessary worries, but rather constructive thinking, thoughts directed towards peace and love. Instead of letting thoughts lead, we learn to lead our thoughts, so that every thought is a step closer to enlightenment, to the life we truly desire. Positive thinking, a familiar and captivating concept, is often considered the key to unlocking the doors of success and happiness. Many people believe that by focusing on optimistic and hopeful thoughts, they can overcome any difficulties and achieve what they desire. But is positive thinking really that powerful? Is it the only path to achieve fulfillment and enlightenment? The answer is sometimes not as simple as we imagine. Positive thinking can become a spiritual strategy to cope with difficulties, but it is only a hilltop, not yet a mountaintop in the spiritual journey. There is a big difference between achieving what one wants and living according to the will of divine love. Many people spend most of their lives pursuing their dreams and personal desires, but they easily get caught up in the vortex of ego. Because when we rely solely on positive thinking without deep awareness, we easily fall into the trap of trying to achieve everything according to our desires and lose the connection to a greater spiritual meaning. Positive thinking, if not accompanied by humility and awareness, can turn into a kind of invisible pressure. When we always force ourselves to think positively, we easily overlook our true emotions, the sadness and disappointment, treating them as things that shouldn't exist. Denying negative emotions can sometimes lead to an underlying state of dissatisfaction, a feeling of being untrue to oneself. The spiritual journey is not about denying the darker parts of oneself, but about accepting, understanding, and transforming them. There is an important gap between the desire to have everything you want and the intention to live in accordance with sacred love. In the journey of seeking enlightenment, the truth does not lie in how many things we can achieve, but in how many expectations we can let go of, how open we can be to embrace natural and unconditional transformations. Positive thinking can help us rise during difficult times, but it is not a comprehensive solution for true peace. Peace only comes when we accept and love all aspects of ourselves, not just the positive parts. We need to understand that when we force ourselves to think positively continuously, we are labeling emotions and thoughts as good or bad, as right or wrong. This is precisely what prevents us from seeing life in its entirety. Sometimes challenges and difficulties are not mistakes to be avoided, but valuable lessons that help us grow and evolve. Instead of trying to obscure our dark side, we can learn to love it, seeing it as an important part of the journey. Eastern philosophy always emphasizes the balance between states of mind. Positive thinking is very important, but it shouldn't be the only way to approach life. A mindful, serene mindset is when we can accept everything that comes without trying to control or change it according to our own will. Because when we let go of desires, when we stop distinguishing between good and bad, we will find a peace that is independent of any conditions. That is the highest spiritual state, when everything is natural and perfect as it is. Therefore, let positive thinking be a source of motivation, but not the goal. Let yourself experience all the emotions without trying to deny them. Live with the will of love, so that all thoughts are not only positive, but also genuine and profound. This is the true destination in the spiritual journey, a state where we not only find peace, but also discover ourselves. Imagine the journey of manifesting, the journey of turning dreams and desires into reality, like the process of gestating a new being. This is a process that mostly happens quietly, without anyone seeing it clearly. A tiny seed of life in the mother's womb, although invisible to the outside world, is quietly developing, waiting for the day it can step out into the world on its own. This is like an idea, a dream in our hearts that also needs time to germinate before it becomes a reality, and its true strength lies in its natural development from within. When you sow a seed into the ground, you cannot see it rooting or sprouting, but you know that it is still undergoing transformation. Every time it is watered, every time the sunlight shines on it, it continues to grow, gradually breaking through its outer shell to become bigger. This journey requires patience, trust, and acceptance of what happens. We cannot rush or force the process, because impatience will only ruin the entire magic of nature. Just like pregnancy, our inner journey is not always visible on the outside. We may not see the immediate results of positive thinking, of inner change, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. On the contrary, inner transformation needs space to mature in the most natural and authentic way. Thoughts, beliefs, and dreams are the same. They need listening and waiting. When setting a goal, a dream, give it space and time to grow. Don't pressure yourself to see immediate results, but rather respect the natural process. Sometimes what we desire can come in different ways or at unexpected times. This is why patience and trust are necessary, because our journey does not always follow the path we have laid out. This inner process is also a time for us to learn how to accept and understand ourselves. When we listen to our thoughts and feelings sincerely, we will realize that inner growth is not only about achieving something, but also about understanding and loving our true nature. This is the miracle of nature, an invisible transformation, yet it serves as a solid foundation for us to stand firm against the great challenges in life. 2. Let go of control and surrender to love. 4,500 characters. An important aspect of the journey of inner development is learning to let go of control and surrender to love. Living in the modern world, we often feel that everything must be tightly controlled, from work, personal life, to even relationships. But control does not always bring stability. Sometimes it even causes feelings of anxiety, stress, and fatigue. When we always try to make everything go our way, we unintentionally create a large, unnecessary pressure. Entrusting to love does not mean abandoning all responsibilities or stopping the effort. On the contrary, it means that we no longer cling tightly to the outcome, but let love and trust guide the journey. Try to imagine love as a natural flow. When we surrender, we do not try to stop or force it to go in a certain direction, but rather allow that flow to guide us to places we never expected. That love can come from within us, from self-love, and from the connection with everything around us. This surrender opens up a space for miracles to happen. When we stop being attached to the outcome, every action will become lighter and more comfortable. Love will guide us along its path, leading us to beautiful things without the need to force or struggle. Surrender helps us realize that not everything is within our control, and this does not mean helplessness, but true freedom. In Eastern philosophy, surrendering to love is an important step to freeing ourselves from the constraints of the ego. When we let go, we stop trying to prove or cling to a perfect image of ourselves. We no longer need to achieve anything to feel valuable. Instead, we just need to be ourselves, to exist and love naturally, unconditionally. Trusting also helps us connect more deeply with others and with the universe. When we no longer try to control or impose, we will find ourselves becoming open and ready to embrace the changes, the ups and downs that life brings. It is precisely in that surrender that true love will appear and guide us to the peace and harmony we have always sought. We are often driven by a feeling of incompleteness, a feeling that sometimes we cannot name but can still clearly feel in our souls. It's the feeling that we need to achieve more, to have more things in order to feel happy and fulfilled. From career, love, status to grand goals, every time we achieve something, a new desire arises, like an endless loop. But why is that? Why can't we find peace when we have enough? The root cause of this feeling lies in the lack of connection with oneself. When we don't truly understand and accept ourselves, we easily get swept up in external expectations and desires. I start to identify myself with what I achieve and possess. Achievements, wealth, relationships, these things become the measure of our worth. But in reality, they are all just superficial layers, unable to fill the inner sense of lack. Our desires are merely a reflection of a feeling of incompleteness, a fear that we are not yet whole, that we need more to prove our worth. Try to observe all your desires mindfully. We can start by asking ourselves, is this really necessary for me, or is it a fear, an insecurity that is driving me? When we listen more deeply, there will come a time when we realize that many desires stem from the fear of scarcity rather than from pure joy. We fear losing recognition, fear not achieving success, and this very fear transforms into relentless desires. Identifying this origin is an important step to understand that the feeling of scarcity does not come from the outside, but from the very limiting beliefs we impose on ourselves. Recognizing the origin of desire does not mean abandoning all goals or aspirations, but rather gaining a deeper understanding of oneself. When we realize that that sense of lack is a temporary feeling, not our true nature, we begin to let go of attachment. Instead of letting this feeling control us, we can stand firm with a peaceful mind, ready to embrace everything without being bound by the expectation of achieving something. That's when we can truly feel fulfilled, not because we have a lot, but because we understand that our worth does not depend on external things. Once we can identify and let go of attachment-based desires, we will feel more at ease. Our minds are no longer torn between what must be had and what must be achieved. Please provide the text you would like me to translate. That's when we realize that happiness is not a destination, but a present state that we can reach at any time, even when nothing special happens. Because it is precisely in the simplicity and naturalness of each moment, when we are no longer driven by incessant desires, that we will find ourselves enough. Letting go of expectations and attachments does not mean giving up on all dreams. On the contrary, we can still pursue the things our hearts desire, but with a freer mindset, without the stress of having to achieve. Please provide the text you would like me to translate. Acceptance and non-attachment help us see more clearly what is truly important, what can bring joy, without the need to try to control or possess. That is when we begin to feel true peace, coming from within and undisturbed by the fluctuations of the outside world. In Eastern philosophy, a profound principle that is always emphasized is, each of us is inherently complete by nature. This is not a temporary optimistic mindset, but a spiritual truth that anyone needs to understand. When we realize that our true value does not depend on anything external, we begin to feel more at ease, no longer swept away by endless demands or desires. The feeling of sufficiency is not something we need to strive for. It already exists within each of us. We often feel the need for more achievements, material possessions, or recognition from others to feel valuable. But the truth is, our true value does not lie in what we own or achieve, but in our genuine presence, in our essence unbound by social roles. When we start to accept that we are enough, all pressure seems to vanish, making way for a natural sense of peace. That sense of fulfillment does not come from having everything, but from no longer feeling the lack of anything. One of the important lessons on the spiritual journey is learning to let go of the limiting belief that I am not enough. These are beliefs that have been deeply ingrained in our minds since childhood, when we began to learn how to compare ourselves with others, leading us to think that we need to do better, achieve more to prove our worth. But the truth is, there is nothing we need to prove. When we understand that we are already complete, we will no longer be influenced by external standards or expectations. It is a state of freedom, a liberation from the invisible burdens we once placed upon ourselves. When we are no longer controlled by feelings of scarcity or the pressure to achieve something, each of our actions will become lighter and more natural. At this moment, inner fulfillment will become a source of strength that helps us face all difficulties without being shaken. I am no longer swayed by judgments, no longer feel the need to prove myself, because I have come to know that no matter what happens, I remain whole within myself. In this state of abundance, everything we do comes from love and compassion. We don't need to possess or control anything, because we know that we lack nothing. When living with inner abundance, we no longer need to seek happiness in external conditions, as happiness naturally comes from the way we experience life. This is a state of unconditional peace, an acceptance of everything that comes and goes without attachment or fear. The journey to find fulfillment is not a journey to seek external things, but a journey to return to oneself. When we are fulfilled, we will no longer be disturbed by comparisons, ambitions, or worries. Desires and expectations will naturally fade away, and in their place will be a sense of peace, a joy in one's own presence. That's when we truly understand that we don't need anything more to be complete, because we have always been like that. This realization is a moment of liberation from all pressures and anxieties, because when we understand that we are enough, we no longer have to chase after any image or achieve any accomplishment to feel worthy. we will live freely, without having to prove ourselves to anyone, but simply live with ourselves, with our truest nature. In the journey to discover the spiritual essence, love plays the role of an infinite and ever-present source of strength. Not a type of love that is dependent or expectant, but unconditional love. A kind of love that transcends all barriers, does not demand, and does not require reciprocation. That love is not just for a specific person or an object, but a vast love for the universe, for oneself, and for all that exists. Unconditional love is not a fleeting feeling or a temporary bond, but a lasting state, the foundation for every step on the journey of enlightenment. When reaching the state of unconditional love, all concepts of gain and loss, right and wrong, seem to become less important. That's when love is no longer tied to the need for possession or control, but becomes a natural state of existence, unanticipated and independent of external conditions. This love does not require others to change, does not demand anything to be different, because it is naturally itself. Unconditional love is the presence of compassion, tolerance, and joy when feeling harmony with oneself and everything around. Living in unconditional love means loving without setting expectations. Usually we love with the expectation that others will reciprocate our feelings, or we love in hopes of being acknowledged and recognized for our worth. But with unconditional love, there are no expectations, no need to receive anything. That love does not seek others as a means to achieve satisfaction, but is simply the truest expression of the soul. It transcends the limits of the ego and the demands of the self. I love not because of something, but love as a natural action, an expression of my true self. In the state of unconditional love, we will feel that everything we desire comes naturally. That's because we are no longer attached to the outcome, no longer bound by the notion of having to achieve something, and the universe freely brings us what we need the most. True manifestation stems from unconditional love, no longer an act of coercion or control, but a gentle acceptance of what life brings. This love opens up a natural flow, where everything comes and goes as it should, without struggle, without calculation. In Eastern philosophy, unconditional love is considered the pinnacle of the journey to enlightenment, a state of harmony with the universe, transcending the division between oneself and everything around. When living in this love, we will see that every moment has a reason. Every person we meet, every event we experience carries a message, a lesson that helps us grow. In this state, we no longer need to question the purpose or meaning of what happens, because we trust in the perfection of every moment, in every detail of the universe. Unconditional love has a powerful healing and transformative strength. It helps us soothe our pains, overcome failures and wounds to open our hearts to ourselves and others. When we truly love unconditionally, all pressure, anger, and judgment will vanish, making way for peace and tranquility. It is unconditional love that is the foundation for inner peace, the feeling of limitless freedom, and the source of true joy in life. When we start living with unconditional love, every action and every word carries a deeper and more sincere meaning. Not because of a desire for recognition or to achieve a certain goal, but because love is simply our nature, something that always exists within us. I no longer seek happiness from the outside because happiness is already within, in every breath, in every heartbeat. Unconditional love does not demand, does not need possession, but simply is genuine existence. Unconditional love is not easily attained, as it requires us to transcend the ego and let go of all attachments to possession and control. But once achieved, we will feel a profound freedom and tranquility that no condition can bring. Living in unconditional love means living authentically, loving everything as it is. And when living in that love, there is no longer any distinction, no longer any division between me and you, but only an open love that embraces everything completely. Stepping into unconditional love is also stepping into a state of liberation and eternal peace. When we no longer need to seek anything outside, when everything we desire comes from the love within, we will see that everything we need is already available. All actions become light, natural, and effortless. This is the deepest state of love that a person can achieve, the foundation for a meaningful, peaceful, and truly happy life. When we live with unconditional love, everything in life seems to start changing naturally. Not by trying to control or pursue, but by letting love take its place, letting everything come to you naturally. I no longer feel the need to control everything according to my will, because I am already fulfilled within, no longer yearning for anything outside to fill me. When the heart is filled with love and peace, the universe responds by bringing us exactly what we need in each moment. Living in a state of unconditional love means letting go of all pressure to achieve or prove anything. This is a state of freedom where we no longer have to be attached to the outcome of any action, because the action itself has become an expression of love. When we love, we act not to achieve results, but because it is how we express ourselves. The things we do, the people we meet, and all the events that happen become part of the natural flow, and we simply let everything unfold as it is meant to be. When we let love take its place, all external needs and desires will gradually lose their importance. What once made us anxious and stressed will no longer bother us, because we know we don't need to cling to them. We no longer have to do something to feel worthy, no longer need to achieve something to feel satisfied. Everything that comes to us is just an expression of the love we have for ourselves and the world around us. Letting go does not mean we no longer desire or want anything, but rather allowing everything to unfold naturally, without any coercion or force. When we let love take control, everything necessary will naturally come to us, and everything unsuitable will naturally drift away. This is the law of harmony and balance in the universe. Whenever something comes, we accept it as a gift, as a necessary lesson. Whenever something leaves, we let it go without needing to cling or suffer. This is the gentleness that unconditional love brings. In this state, we will feel always peaceful and happy without depending on any external factors, because we no longer need to compete or worry about what we don't have. We simply love and let that love guide us. All good things will come to us when we live in unconditional love, when all our actions stem from sincerity and compassion. Relationships become more harmonious, work becomes more meaningful, and each day becomes an experience full of joy and fulfillment. Unconditional love opens a path full of peace and serenity. When we are no longer driven by the need to possess and control, the mind becomes tranquil, no longer swayed by the fluctuations of life. I no longer feel the pressure to change anything, nor do I feel any sense of lack or dissatisfaction. Everything becomes lighter. Every relationship becomes more pleasant. When we love unconditionally, we will no longer need to worry about how much we have given and what we have received in return. Letting love guide us also helps us connect more deeply with others and with ourselves. When we no longer have to strain ourselves to gain recognition, we will feel fulfilled and worthy. The things we once feared, the complicated relationships, all will gradually fade away, making room for genuine love and understanding. This is the power of unconditional love, a power that does not need to be proven, does not need to be demonstrated, but only needs to exist. Let love take its place. Let everything come to us on its own does not mean we stop making an effort or give up. On the contrary, this is the most genuine effort, because it is not attached to any outcome. We are no longer trapped in the whirlpool of expectations or worries, but simply living in the present with a heart full of love and a peaceful mind. At that time, we will see that everything we need has always been within us, and everything outside is just an extension of the love we have found within ourselves. In the spiritual journey, perhaps one of the most important lessons is knowing how to surrender, a state of deep trust in oneself and in the natural flow of life. The work A Course in Miracles emphasizes surrender, not as giving up effort, but as empowering faith and letting things unfold as they need to. Surrender here means letting go of expectations and calculations, and being in a state of fully accepting life, because we know that everything has a reason, a time, and is all part of the journey we are on. When we entrust, we no longer fear that everything will not go as desired. I will stop trying to control everything, because I understand that control is just an illusion of the ego, a desire to determine fate. Surrendering is knowing that sometimes the best thing we can do is to let things come and go on their own, just as they are meant to be. When we are no longer bound by outcomes, when we accept what life brings, we will begin to realize that every event is a lesson, an opportunity for us to learn and grow. In life, everything we go through is an opportunity to learn. Joyful moments bring happiness, difficulties help us grow, and challenges are opportunities for us to cultivate patience and trust. A Course in Miracles emphasizes that every experience, whether small or large, has meaning and carries a message from the universe. If we can accept everything that comes our way with a trusting attitude, we will see that each day is a journey, and everyone we meet has something to teach us. Surrendering does not mean giving up, but rather choosing to view everything from the perspective of acceptance and trust. When faced with challenges, instead of fearing and trying to change, we can surrender and remind ourselves that this is also a part of life, and it is also a necessary step for us to learn and grow. In the most difficult times, when everything seems to go wrong, surrendering is a way to free ourselves from pressure and allow the universe to provide solutions that our minds sometimes cannot foresee. However, surrendering does not mean we stop acting or neglect our responsibilities. In A Course in Miracles, action and surrender do not contradict, but complement each other. When we learn to entrust, each action becomes light and natural, unbound by any expectations or pressures. We act not to achieve something, but to express ourselves in the most genuine way. Trust helps us maintain a comfortable and peaceful attitude when facing any situation. And this is the true power of trust. It frees us from stress and worry, allowing us to live freely. Trusting also helps us learn when to act and when to wait. In moments of confusion or uncertainty, grant us a space to listen to our intuition, to sense the right moment. I no longer feel the pressure to make an immediate decision, because I know that everything will become clear at the right time. When we are no longer pressured by time and results, every decision becomes natural and stems from inner peace. Surrender is not an easy state to achieve. It takes courage to let go of control, trust in oneself, and accept that we cannot know everything in advance. But when we dare to entrust, dare to step into uncertainty with an open heart, we will find that everything becomes easier. The tensions, worries, and fears will dissipate, making way for peace and freedom. We will no longer be bound by expectations and desires, but simply live fully and be present. In the process of surrendering and learning from life, we will begin to see ourselves grow in ways we never expected. We will see that each challenge, each event helps us become stronger, wiser, and more loving. Surrender is the path to open our hearts, so we no longer live in fear, but in trust and peace. This is the valuable lesson that A Course in Miracles brings, a lesson about surrender about trust in the universe, and about freedom when we are no longer attached to the outcome. Surrender is not just a concept in theory, but a way of life, an attitude towards life that we can cultivate every day. Every time we face a challenge, an unexpected event, remember that it is an opportunity to practice surrender, to learn how to trust and accept. Every day, every moment is a lesson, an opportunity for us to live lightly, to realize that life is inherently perfect. We just need to change our perspective to see that clearly. The spiritual journey is not only about seeking peace for oneself, but also about how we naturally and gently integrate into the flow of the universe. One of the great lessons that A Course in Miracles brings is the awareness of love as a creative force, helping us achieve perfection by respecting and connecting with the laws of nature. Love, in its purest state, is the only thing that can unlock the true values of life. When we live in love, every action, every thought becomes light, natural, and free of pressure. In this universe, everything has its own order and rules. All the plants, rivers, and clouds, everything is operating according to a natural law, without any coercion or forced effort. When looking at nature, we can clearly see that everything has a reason, a specific time to exist and develop. This is perfection in the universe. Without control, without arrangement, everything still operates harmoniously and completely. True love is the force that helps us feel the connection and respect for this law. In modern life, we often get caught up in the whirlwind of haste and anxiety, constantly trying to adjust everything to achieve our personal goals. However, when living with unconditional love, we will realize that trying to adjust and control life does not bring true peace. Instead, peace comes from respecting the laws of nature, accepting and blending into the flow that the universe has already set. When we let love guide us, every decision becomes clearer and more appropriate because we no longer rely on the ego to control, but rather on a profound understanding of the nature of the universe. True perfection in life does not come from control or the effort to perfect everything in the way we want. Instead, it comes from letting love take the lead and allowing everything to unfold in the most natural way. I no longer fear mistakes, no longer worry about what might happen, because I believe that everything has meaning and is part of a bigger picture. Love is the glue that binds everything together, making everything harmonious without the need to force or adjust anything. When we live with love and respect for the laws of nature, we will see that everything that comes to us has its own reason. Each person we meet, each situation we go through carries a message, a lesson to help us grow. This is not a coincidence, but rather the way the universe operates to help us grow. Perfection comes from our ability to accept and integrate everything, from the good things to the challenges. Everything is necessary and has its own role. Only when we respect and love them can we truly see the perfection of life. To achieve this, we need to let go of the desire to control and accept that things happen in a way we cannot foresee. Love teaches us that not everything needs to go according to plan or personal desire. Sometimes we need to let things unfold on their own, to allow ourselves to be free in the natural flow of the universe. This is surrender, a state of deep love and trust. When we let go of control, we will realize that everything is happening in the best possible way. Love helps us respect the laws of nature and see the true value in every moment. I no longer feel the need to change everything, but simply to live and love. Everything we do, from the small daily tasks to the grand decisions, becomes an expression of love. When we live with love, everything will come to us naturally, like a part of the unending flow of life. This is how the universe operates, without coercion, without struggle, but with harmony and perfection in every moment. The perfection we seek is not a destination, but a state we feel when living in love and respecting the laws of the universe. When we are no longer influenced by worries, when we no longer have to chase the illusions of the ego, we will see that this life is already complete and perfect as it is. Each moment, each experience brings us a sense of completeness without needing to change or improve anything further. This is the tranquility, the freedom that love brings. Creating perfection through love and respecting the laws of nature is a profound lesson from A Course in Miracles. This is not just a theory, but a way of life, an attitude towards life that we can practice every day. When we start living with love, everything we do becomes a dedication, no longer for personal gain, but for the connection with the universe. This is perfection that requires no proof, no effort to achieve. Just be yourself and live as sincerely as possible. Through each step on the spiritual journey, perhaps the most important thing we realize is that every effort to seek enlightenment leads us back to ourselves, to the inherent fullness from within. From learning to surrender, respecting the laws of nature, to listening to the sacred voice and acting from unconditional love, all of these help us gradually move away from unnecessary pressures and worries. Each step on that path is a way for us to break free from the limits of the ego, to open our hearts more and to feel a deep connection with the universe. The spiritual journey is not a path to becoming perfect or achieving something beyond oneself, but a way to realize that one is already complete and does not need to seek anything more. When we let go of the ego, desires, and expectations, we will find ourselves becoming lighter and freer. True enlightenment comes when we no longer cling to the idea that we need to achieve something special. Instead, we realize that each present moment is a complete part of the journey, and we just need to live it sincerely and mindfully. Living with inner peace does not mean giving up all desires, but rather accepting all aspects of life naturally. The spiritual journey teaches us to love and accept ourselves, so we no longer have to compare or judge anyone. When we learn to love and accept, we will find ourselves more at peace, no longer shaken by the upheavals. This is not a state achieved overnight, but a process of learning, practicing, and experiencing to gradually feel more clearly the inherent peace and abundance each day. The spiritual path also helps us realize that enlightenment is not a destination, but a long journey. Each step, each experience brings us a small change, a new perspective. This is a journey of each day, of every moment, when we learn to slow down, to feel every little thing, and to accept every emotion, every thought of ours. This is the true meaning of abundance and enlightenment, not something distant or mysterious, but a way of living with tranquility and serenity. Every day, every moment is a part of that journey, an opportunity for us to live with inner abundance and peace. What we learn from this journey not only helps us feel at peace, but also helps us become the best version of ourselves, a version that lives authentically and does not seek validation from the outside. This is true fulfillment, an inner peace that nothing can shake. At the end of this journey, let your heart expand, embracing the tranquility and peace from deep within. We can sit still, feeling the heartbeat and breath within us as a testament to life, to a profound connection with everything. Each breath is an affirmation that we are complete, that we are living with true peace and need nothing but this moment. Sending heartfelt prayers. May we all find inner peace, so that everyone lives in love and compassion. May we learn to accept everything that happens, respect everyone around us, and treat each other with unconditional love. Let the sacred inner voice guide you, so you can clearly see your path without being influenced by worries or pressures. I hope everyone can feel the peace present within themselves, no longer having to search or struggle. This is a prayer, a belief in each person's ability to return to their heart, to live in harmony with the universe, with nature, and with everything. Let life be a journey of tranquility, love, and acceptance, where everything is complete, where we truly feel the freedom of the soul.